Bonjour, it's Claire, and welcome. Thanks for listening to the Integrally Alive podcast, where we explore resilience, sparking life, and going from alive-ish to alive. Today I'm with Estela Kun. Hi, Estela, how are you doing?
Hey everyone, it's lovely to be here, Claire. Thank you for inviting.
Yeah, thanks for being with us today. So Estela has been living abroad and traveling for over 15 years while founding and managing a marketing agency. And she's the founder of Freedom X Fest, the first educational outdoor festival about the location-independent movement, where 400 people gathered to learn from each other and collaborate last summer in the Spanish Pyrenees. Estela is making a stand for making the freedom lifestyle accessible to many more people. And the philosophy behind Freedom X Fest is that location independence goes above and beyond simply being free to work and live as you love. It has the potential to completely revolutionize society. So today with Estela, we will talk about freedom and hopefully open a few possibilities for creating a life you choose. So Estela, what was your intention in creating the Freedom X experience?
Wow, that's a quite long personal journey, I guess, of 15 years of traveling and just always questioning, different ways that how we can be living our lives. And I was always really passionate about travel and also entrepreneurship and business, and really saw the possibility of, how can we create still as being on the go, and for me, this whole location dependent movement and digital nomadism that became a thing the last 5-10 years. It's just really amazing because that's something that I lived for many years without knowing. There is a community out there and thousands of people living this lifestyle on a daily basis. So the inspiration for Freedom X was really to create an environment which is, inviting all these people together. We created amazing talks and workshops as a conference, but it was outdoors in nature. And I really saw the possibility that, many of us are really eager to learn, network, be in the business environment, but equally we are as motivated to experience ourselves as human beings, come together, dance together, do meditation, yoga, and have a much more flexible environment. So that's why the festival came into being, to facilitate that.
Yeah, the fact that it was outdoors, I really appreciated it. And I know I'm not the only one. And we were completely lost. I mean, there was nothing around except nature, beautiful nature. So that for me was really interesting in the possibilities it gave for interacting and for socially being really present with one another. Because I've been to a few conferences and events of this kind, and they are always in town. So you go to the conference, you have your experience, and then you just go and have, I don't know, party somewhere or go somewhere in town. But this was, I felt like at the end of the week, we were feeling really like a community, like a little bit of a family together.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think that's what festival does. So when we go to festivals, then, we kind of leave behind our normal, way of being. And most of us get sometimes quite crazy, wear dresses and just do things that we don't do in normal life. And I think that, it was really kind of just a vision, and I was questioning, would people be interested in a conference that's educational, but it's outdoors and embraces features of the festival. And it worked out great. To be honest, until, being there, we had no idea if it's going to be working out well or not. But I think that what you said about, creating that really personal connections and that environment that people kind of drop this, I'm a speaker, I'm not, I'm more important than you are, that kind of stuff, the ego drops, and we just really are humans, and we can really connect and have that space and time to really interact with one another. And I think that was really special, and it was really people loved it and embraced it, and I think that we need more and more of these kind of events.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what I see as so it's a beautiful life, location independence as really a great, great life, but it comes with a few challenges. And one I see repeated again and again, like for me, but also the people I know, is community, finding your tribe, because it's really easy to get isolated in the life when you're always moving. And in my experience, sedentary people don't always um, know how to relate to you, and when they do, they don't always know how to stay connected when they don't see you, when they cannot go, like, I don't know, to the bar or this or that with you, and just has to wait until the next moment you're in town. Not everyone is used to Skype or stay connected remotely.
Yeah, that's true. But I have to say that it's just so much more easy these days
Yeah.
to be connected with people and to be in community. Because I remember like 10 years ago when I kind of became a digital nomad without knowing that this term exists, I was literally like that weirdo traveling and doing something that no one else does. That's what I thought for many years. And and I think it was 2014 when I first realized that there's a community out there.
Yeah.
And now it's so much more easy to connect in with people. You have, events, you have co-working spaces, you have co-living. Like you have so many opportunities now that exist that 10 years ago was just not even consideration. So I really see that, the way that how this whole movement's evolving is really fast, and community is one of the most important aspects that bringing people together and creating more and more spaces around the world where people feel connected. And I think it's really, it's the first step in creating like a global network, a global family, where people are not really defining themselves based on location anymore, but
Yeah.
on value systems, where they want to be, who are the people they want to interact with, and that's awesome. And I think that having those community aspects are great. It's still a bit challenging to kind of get plugged in, but once you know a few people, it becomes easier and easier. And I really see that in the next 10 years, it's going to become so much more accessible for just pretty much anyone who wants to be living this way.
Yeah, I mean, the idea is spreading. Now it's not so unusual to just this idea of remote working, and you don't have to be there to work there. But it's still,
Exactly.
I mean, I know my family, for example, has still some difficulty to wrap their head around what I'm doing. So you.
Oh, lots of difficulties.
So it's still not mainstream, and I know that many people don't even know that it is a possibility, or when they know, they cannot believe it's not really possible. A kind of too good to be true, some effects. This is something I see a lot in my interactions, like that.
Yeah, I think that that's true, and I think that that's and I think that that's a really normal way of almost like human evolution, I guess. You always have new trends, new things that come in, and then it does take time. It does take a few years, sometimes decades, like that it integrates into mainstream. And I think that that's why it's really interesting and important time to to be involved in this movement, because it's so new. Basically, we are laying the foundation, we are defining on where it goes, and I think that there is an amazing opportunity that comes with this new style of working and traveling and living around the planet, but it's also a great responsibility on what we do with it and how we use it. And I think that that's why these discussions are so important, because that's how we kind of define these new terms and new possibilities as they evolve.
Yeah. So for you, it began by the wanting to travel, right?
Yeah, so I always knew I want to travel, like since I was, I guess, like 5 or 6. I can remember that I had these dreams, and then I quite early, I left my country, Budapest, Hungary, where I grew up, age of 18, and I went to the US and then London, and mainly I studied, but I was always really intrigued by especially far away exotic countries. So I did anthropology, and I became a filmmaker, and I wanted to do documentaries in, like in tribal cultures in Central America. I was living in Mexico and Guatemala, and I loved that lifestyle, but it was also really just challenging to fund it, and it's really, like that time in 2008, it was quite challenging for me to, live my passion, but be able to earn money. And that was a bit of a contradiction. I either come back to Europe and I take on a job that I don't want, or I do my passion, but it was, it's still like an early, and I was really young, like how do I make money out of it? So that was one thing. And another one was, I was really inspired by a class that I had in London, in the university that I was studying, and it was called Anthropology of Cyberspace. And it was basically
Sounds amazing. Like just the title is good. I want to read that book.
It was a really interesting concept of studying social interactions online.
Okay.
And how society changing in cyberspace, and how communities form and interactions form, and I really, that was the first time I think that I understood the power of the internet and just the power of technology, that how can we bridge, space, and how can we, and entrepreneurship, that it also came in this point in my life, because just understanding that what online businesses can create, and how can we connect, people and markets via internet. Like that was, for me, that was just like mind blowing. I was like, oh my goodness, like, imagine like how amazing that I can think about creating businesses where people can interact from all over the globe, and you can be connecting, markets from African traders to European customers. Like how awesome is that? So that was really my inspiration, and that's what really started my just continuous inquiry on, what else is possible, and how can we create these new businesses, and what does it take. And it was a long, challenging, crazy journey with lots of learnings. But I have to say that it's, that as you said, it's not an easy life. It brings up a lot of challenges, but if you are committed to it, and that that's something you're really interested in, that it's worthwhile pursuing.
Yeah, completely. I love the question you asked, like, what else is possible? Okay, let's see how this works, and then once you're there, okay, what? And this is so important. There is, asking, just the sheer fact of asking, what do I want from life, and what is possible, instead of thinking, okay, this is probably not possible, so I'm going to do this, reversing it and say, okay, I see a few possibilities, and there must be other ones behind those, so I'm going to explore that. It's great. And this is something I see a lot, and I appreciate a lot in this lifestyle. You, at least for now, you have to find new ways to do things, because as you say, it's rather new in its form. And so we have to find new ways to do things, because it's just beginning to be done that way. So lots of things to explore, which is really, really exciting.
Yeah, exactly. And like for me, I think that one of the most important thing was always curiosity, and just asking questions without actually needing to know the answer, but just the power of asking questions that leads us on, new pathways. And I also see that, that like I almost like, and sometimes people say that I have this like childlike curiosity, and I think that that's what I love about children. That like children, they don't have the way that how the world should be. They just explore and ask and try and fall and get up and go again. And I think that if we can tap back more into that a sense of ourselves, then we can kind of unlearn some of the stuff that maybe we don't need, and just be ourselves. And I think that it is a big challenge, because that's something that's not really taught in school. Like we are all told to grow up and get serious and get a proper job, and get a good education and pay the bills and all that kind of stuff. And it's not easy to kind of unlearn that programming. But then I think that just by being able to go into that space and being able to ask, that opens up something new. And just that's where it all begins.
Yeah, I just love what you shared. This is something I try to, I'm actually doing. I get my clients into this unlearning and just being, this in Zen, they call it the beginner's mind, when you do something for the first time and you don't really know what it's going to be like. So you're just open to anything that pops up. And yeah, maybe actually this is the ultimate freedom, when you don't have so many expectations and you allow any possibility just to come. Actually, this is a question I wanted to ask you. What is freedom for you? Because it's really important in your life. So
yeah, I think that's a really great question, and I really feel that freedom is such a strong word. Like it really means something for almost all of us. Like when you say freedom, that everyone kind of has something to say or think or feel or do, and I think it's just such a deeply rooted thing that we all inquire, but it's really different how people and everyone explains. And that even myself, I think I would say freedom a bit different in different circumstances. For first of all, freedom for me is really, I think it's just having the choice, and having the choice to to be, to do, and in different part of my life, in different ages, I guess. I wanted to explore something different. So freedom meant something very different. When I was 18, I needed to travel. I needed to just go really far places, and I needed to be a lot in nature. It was really different than what freedom means now. For example, sometimes freedom now can mean to me just that I'm able to create my personal time in a way that I allow myself to do the things that's really important to me, and that I feel that that's it's really just having the choice. And I think having the choice and questioning, is it really what I want? And then defining it, and then again you define something, or at least that's my experience in life, that I'm questioning something, I define it, and then it's not the same anymore. So for example, for me, questioning freedom for so many years, and then traveling for so many years, and getting to a point now, for example, that I'm looking for a flat and I actually need stability. So in different stations of my life, freedom means something different, and I think it's just the journey itself and exploring what freedom is. When you say freedom, what resonates, what do you feel, what is that you wish that you could do? What are that one thing that if you look back in your life and you say that, oh my God, I wish that I have done, do that, do those things that really does matter to you, something that you just wanted to be part of your life. And I think and being able to have that choice, that's freedom. Yeah.
I would totally agree to that definition, actually, having the choice. Yeah. And actually, it's something that resonates also with the location independent movement. A lot of people, when they hear that, they think, okay, so I have to move all the time, like you mean location independent, like in 3 months here, 3 months there. But actually, for me, it's more about the choice to stay wherever you want, if you want, or to move if you want. It's just, it is not just about traveling everywhere, and it's really being free of having to be somewhere. So now you have the choice, and few people choose actually to stay in one place and have the family, and they go to school and etc. But they are not. They know that if they need to, if they want to, they have a different possibility.
Yeah, and I think that it's also what you said about that it's our choice, and I think that that's why freedom is a different definition for each one of us, because once we stop living a life that what we're supposed to live, like what society exposed on us.
Mm.
Like, I'm supposed to have this job. I'm not happy in that, but I'm supposed to do this and that, and freedom, I guess, and in location dependence is, I think, is just a great way to question some of those supposed tos, and just go like, what is that I want? Like, if I can be anything, if I can work anything I want, if I want to live anywhere I want, like, what is that I would like to do? And start defining ourselves from within, and
Yes.
and then construct reality outside of us. And I think that's the shift.
Yeah. I love something you said, like, is it asking yourself, is it really what I want? And once you define it, then it's not the same. Like, it has a new meaning, and you can, and it's obviously it's changing always and always and always. And for me, freedom is also having the flexibility to go in a direction, choosing your direction, but actually being free to take detours, or even to see this direction changing if it happens. So knowing where you go, but having the flexibility to adapt yourself to life, because life happens.
Exactly.
And brings other stuff in the middle.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree with that. And yeah, and I think that's, and then there's another question that comes up for me, and actually in the annex, like we spoke about this briefly, on, what is, once you have freedom and once you have a lifestyle that you can do anything, then what is that you do?
Yeah.
And I think that's also because sometimes most of us, including myself, like we see things and we see a picture, someone's working from a laptop from Thailand, like, that's what I want to be like. And you work super hard and do anything to get there. And once you get there, you realize like, oh, wow, okay, so what's now? And it's never really like achieving something. It's about the journey.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, like, location dependence, it's really like a great teacher in a way, because it's like teaching us that there's not an ultimate goal to reach. Like, it's constantly changing careers, changing skill sets, and it constantly needs to evolve, because it's not in a it's not that secure and comfortable, let's say, box that most of us are born into, that we go to school and then we get education, we get a job, and then everything is kind of like set up for us. So we don't think. And once we step out from that and start to question, and we go like, okay, so maybe I want to have a different job, or maybe I want to live somewhere else, or maybe I want to work less hours, then okay, how are you going to create that? Because no one's really giving a framework on how to do that. And that's when our generation, I guess, comes into play and start to recreate these new ways of working and living and being.
Yeah, and it's actually questioning a lot of rules of society, like what you said. Go to school, get a job, get a house, etc. And one thing I really loved in the Freedom X Festival is meeting so many people with this common ground of this freedom lifestyle, but yet so many different stories. That's really inspiring as well, to see how each of us is creating the life we want in his own very personal way, actually.
Yeah, and I also see that, and I think that these events are really great, examples to see that how certain interests, certain set of values, certain knowledge, certain communities and peer groups really attract people together.
Yeah.
And it's not based on necessarily, it's not based on which country we're from, or which company we work for, but it's more about like, what do we like, what do we enjoy, what are the type of things that interest us, what do we want to learn, what is our aspiration for the future. And that's why I love these kind of like organic growing communities, because it's not about it is about people, but it's not about like certain like you have to be this or you have to be that. It's about more like an idea, about a vision, about a feeling that really attracts different type of people together to share that. And I think that that's pretty cool. I really enjoy it.
Well, it is, and it's a really it's really nice feeling to meet these people, because we all love what we do, and or if we don't, we are actively intentionally going towards something we want. So it makes a lot of inspirational conversations, because everyone you meet is just happy to share his journey, and there is something to take in. I'm a big student of people. I love hearing their stories, and I believe everyone has something to teach everyone, basically.
Exactly.
So especially when you create the life you want, there is a lot of insights to share.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so going a bit further on what you were saying about, okay, you create this life and now you created it, and what else? And I remember you mentioning something like being caught in busyness lately, when you realized that maybe, okay, you create this life, but, and this is me talking, so now you say to me if I understood well, but kind of realizing, okay, I was chasing this direction and I'm still going there, but I lost something in the way, and I need to come back to maybe asking the question you were saying, what it is I really want now.
Yeah, I think one thing that's really interesting, and I'm kind of, exploring it in the last year or few years, is that especially when we are, let's say, on the pursuit of freedom, and we want to, okay, I'm going to do something different in my life. I'm going to leave my country. I'm going to, quit my job. I'm going to do something completely different. And then we do that, and we make the leap, and we make the transition. That is so exciting, and you're like, wow, like, it's something radically new and different. But something I think that many of us are forgetting, including myself, is that it's really easy to bring still our old conditioning, our past with us, without even being aware of it. And in my case, for example, like living and traveling, I had many years that, I was really free flowing, and I experienced a lot of amazing things in life through travel. But then when I started to pick up on business, I really I love creating. I love creating projects. I love being involved in things I'm just really enjoying and passionate about. But then I just caught myself on, being in Bali, being in beautiful locations and working like 8, 10, 12 hours a day. And I was, just caught in this frustration of loving what I do, but I'm just overworking myself, and I'm actually not happy. And I think that many digital nomads can relate to this, because it's really, it's not easy, but once you make the leap and you start traveling and you say, oh, everything, whole world is mine, and then a few months in, you kind of just notice that you start to settle into the same old habits, and you start recreating some of the things that you had in the past. And for example, for me to recognize that my need to work so long hours was actually just an old belief and habit that I pretty much like inherited from my father. And he's a great man, but he's pretty much like a workaholic and just works 7 days a week all the time, even on Sunday. And that's something that was so deeply, and it still is so deeply encoded in me, that I just do it naturally. And I'm just caught in that, and I'm struggling to get out. And then and then I realized that if I'm doing even what I love doing, but I'm doing it in unhealthy ways and hours, then it's actually not serving me. And then now, like in the last 6 months, I started to just experiment with different things. That how can I just recreate my beliefs and my habits around work, and still do what I love, but just do 4 hours a day, and just reduce the amount of time that I actually spend on the computer. And it's not easy. I'm still in the process to kind of like recreate it, But I have to say that in 6 months, I progressed a lot, and it's amazing to see that the results are actually better. Since I'm working less hours, our business is doing better, which is kind of crazy, but it's true. And for me, that's really interesting that, you know, in this whole lifestyle, that, you know, when we want to create something so radically new, then we still have to be aware of all the past stuff that we bring into it, and then just keep questioning. I would just say that keep questioning even your amazing location-dependent lifestyle, because there's always more to tweak and optimize.
Yeah, well, it's definitely a challenge for most of us, like the work and life balance. And like we said, right, we all do something we're passionate about. So it's really easy to get caught into that and to say, yeah, I'm working 12 hours a day, but I love it. So, so it's great, but we need balance. Yes, totally.
Yeah.
Maybe, I mean, it's something that's actually really an interest of mine, observing this lifestyle. Like most people have a career and then they kind of build their lifestyle around or into what this career allows them to. And we choose something else. We choose to have a lifestyle and then to build a career that can support this lifestyle. So the balance between work, life, and actually the barrier, the frontier between private life and business tends to weaken, at least, not to say to disappear. So finding this balance is really, really important and interesting, I would say.
Yeah, and I feel that it's a constant, or at least for me, it's a constant experimentation. Yeah. And there's no one way of doing it right.
Yeah.
But I think that that's when, you know, self-awareness and just being able to be honest to ourselves and, you know, just to really check in on, you know, how we feel and what serves us, it becomes into play. And I think that more and more of us entrepreneurs or people, you know, needing to create our own schedules and stuff, like we just need to be so much more responsible for ourselves and so much more aware of, you know, where we put priorities, where we put energy, how we manage time and resources and all that things. And it's not easy, but I think that it's also a great opportunity for us to master ourselves and understand ourselves a bit better. And there's no one way of doing it. And I think that it's even changing, you know, and even within a year, you may go through different phases. And I used to kind of thought that, you know, I have to get this perfect formula. And once I get that, then it's going to be all great. And then, you know, and then I realized that actually there is no perfect formula and it doesn't have to be. The present moment is the formula. And if I'm happy in the present moment, then, you know, that's about it. Like that's the most that can happen. And if something doesn't work well for me, then just being aware of that stress or discomfort, that's the most that I can do. And without judging it, without making it wrong, but just, you know, seeing, and if there's a pattern that keeps coming back, you know, for example, if you keep feeling stressful for certain, like around launches, then, you know, think about like, is it really the right way for you to launch? Or do you have to do online launches? Or maybe you can, you know, automate it better, or, you know, just see different ways that what is that, you know, serves you in life, what feels good, what are the things that creates tension or discomfort, and then make adjustments. And yeah, like I guess, and really just enjoying the journey itself, because again, like there's no refuge.
Yes, I would say enjoying the journey is the best advice I ever heard, and I have tried to apply.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I see a lot of opportunities for personal development actually in this life, and I'm very resonate with what you say about responsibility. It's a life that comes with a great freedom, and in my view, a great freedom comes with great responsibilities, or it just goes anywhere, and we don't create anything. So we really have to be it comes back to knowing what you run really, and to be able to focus on this. And it's not it's something that's really exciting. We all love to travel usually and to see new things and to meet new people. And then we all love what we working on. So we love doing that as well. And it's always this fine balance between going and seeing new places and meeting new people and then working and then resting. So yeah, lots of opportunities for the personal development here. And I love that for most people, it's, I mean, mainstream, we have this kind of saying of, okay, personal development is in your private life and then there's work and that's a different thing. But I love how it's actually the same. And working is an opportunity for personal development. I love what you say about always finding new ways to adapt how you work to what you want in life, and how can you do that enjoying the ride in the same time, and not just focused on the goal and saying, I want to go there, but actually being happy and enjoying the process. Oh, yeah, and that's something I really loved in Freedom X Festival. There were so many people sharing fuck-ups. And that was beautiful, because that's where the beauty lies for me. Like when you fuck up and then you know how you don't want to do this, what's not working. And from that usually comes the most beautiful experiences, actually, when we see the high and low.
Yeah. And I think that's really great. And I love that in this whole scene that, you know, more and more of us are just, you know, being more honest and open and vulnerable and human, and also sharing our experiences and the things that the challenges, sometimes, you know, the biggest challenge, the biggest, you know, obstacle, it's really like being able to share that. And that's how we can kind of like support each other and learn from each other. And I think that that's definitely personal development, and like self-inquiry is like really, you know, just deeply embedded in this whole location-dependent lifestyle. And it's, you know, it's not a must, but I think that most people are, you know, starting with something new because they have questions. And usually when we start to have questions, then, you know, we end up diving quite deep within ourselves. And that's good.
Yeah, definitely. One day we realize, okay, this is not working for me, so what could work? Then begins an interesting quest.
Exactly.
Okay, now comes the ritual question for for you, Estela. What makes you feel alive?
Wow, what makes me feel alive? Wow. Well, I can say a few things that makes me like feel alive, and a few things that I think that it would make me feel alive, and I really want to try it. And yeah, like for me, movement and travel, that's been one of the most exhilarating thing that makes me feel alive. Seeing new environments and hearing new languages and people, and just, you know, like that newness, like that's something that definitely makes me feel alive. And a beautiful nature scenery, a beautiful, you know, remote place, like somewhere that I haven't been before, that just definitely awakens my senses, and I really feel more present. And also I've like recently I'm discovering more and more, and it's a different feeling I'm kind of interested about, that I actually can tune in on really like small details and like really basic stuff, like really ordinary things that I can just, you know, like feel alive, just having a conversation with, you know, with my family member or with my Grammy, and just really being present to it, and just really, you know, just really feeling that special of that moment is. That's really interesting, because it's a different type of aliveness. I feel really present and really, you know, just in the moment. But it doesn't excite me, but it just feels good. It just feels something like much more subtle. And I also, like, one thing that I'm actually thinking about, like this week, I would love to go and do some like bungee jumping or jumping out of the airplane. Just do something like crazy that just, it's like, again, it's a different type of aliveness, I guess. It just like scares the hell out of you, like you're just falling, and but I think it's really interesting to experiment with different type of what makes us feel alive, in what sense, and like what type of feeling it is, and why. So I'm kind of like in that stage now to inquire those different type of aliveness, and how it's all me, and how these different experiences kind of awaken different senses or different feelings. And that's kind of where I am at this moment.
Yeah, I love your take on different types of aliveness. Like I see how some get caught into seeking more, or now you do bungee jumping, so next time you need more, like you're gonna, I don't know, jump from a plane and skydive, and now you need more, and seeking this adrenaline driven aliveness, which feels really good. But we have also all these moments that if we are just present, like being in a family, or it's really more subtle, but it may be more sustainable. And I totally love your inquiry on finding different ways of finding this aliveness in us. Thank you.
Yeah, because it's really interesting. And actually I thought about this year quite a lot, is that like after 15 years of traveling and seeing new places, like I still love going to a new place, and I can really appreciate so much, like being in a beautiful beach or beautiful scenery. But it's not the same than when I started. I really feel, that 15 years ago, like I would just jump up and down and just, be so happy. And I'm still happy, but it's like different. And I almost, I've seen so much, I've experienced so much that I almost, like I don't have that really strong sparkle. So I'm kind of like inquiring, like, okay, so where else can I shift my awareness and focus that that I notice those more subtle, like small things, or it's something that, as you said, maybe more sustainable, something that's not always more, because that was kind of my drive for many years. And then now I'm kind of going like, okay, so what is in there, and how can I go to the same place and still just feel so grateful and so present, and really see something new in it.
Yeah, and it goes very well with what you were sharing in the beginning of the interview, like learning and just being curious, right? So you're totally present to what is.
Exactly. I guess that's probably one thing that I have to keep practicing, being curious to what else, because that's one thing is for sure, that like life has so many different shades, and it's so layered at what we actually perceive, and there's always more to to open up to, more to see, even in the same place or same moment.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for sharing all of this. Where can listeners find you and learn more about Freedom X Fest?
Yes, so we have freedomxfest.com, and then also Freedom Experience. We are going to be launching some more interviews with like amazing speakers and just people with experience on location independence, and some educational programs. So there's more than what people are welcome to come on freedomexperience.io as well and check out the new website.
Okay, well, thanks very much, Estela, for being with us and sharing all your insights. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I think there is a few nuggets that that will benefit for everyone. So thank you for sharing, for being here.
Thank you so much for having me here, and I love the questions and I love the discussion. And I think that this discussion as well was just kind of questions and inquiry without having the answer, but it's so beautiful to have it, and to to reflect on different experiences.
Yes, yeah. Oh, and of course, thank you for what you're doing with Freedom X. It's really beautiful. I really enjoyed. So I was there this summer, and I really enjoyed the way it unfolded. And actually, what came up in the community, the quality of the relationship that came up of that, And I really believe it was possible because of the setting that you gave it and the intention you put into that. So thank you for what you're doing in that.
Yeah, so we have to find the next remote place far away from everything.
Yeah,
that's the challenge.
Okay, thanks everyone for listening. If you like what you hear, leave a comment on the blog, subscribe to the podcast, and till next time. Until then, spark alive and be integrally alive. Bye.